I want to call the next speaker to the stage. She came directly from the USA. She is the acting National Cyber Director in the Office of the National Cyber Director, Executive Office of the President. I want to call to the stage Kemba Eneas Walden. The stage is yours. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Pointnoy. I appreciate your remarks. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want to start by thanking the hosts of Cyber Week, Tel Aviv University and Professor Ben Israel. This is such an impressive event, and I'm honored to be here with you all. This morning, we are discussing cybersecurity strategies for a digital age, and I am delighted to have the opportunity to share some thoughts on President Biden's national cybersecurity strategy. But before I get to that, let's talk a bit about our place in human history in the so-called digital age. We are increasingly connected, and our world continues to grow more reliant on digital technologies. And as a result, our cybersecurity threat landscape is incredibly complex, ranging from criminals who steal or ransom corporate data to nations with sophisticated capabilities that target other government militaries and their infrastructures. And in recent years, criminal actors using ransomware as well as other means have launched thousands of attacks around the world. The operational costs an attack can have on a small business, the impact on education when a school system is disrupted, or even the human costs when criminal actors target healthcare are not only costly, but are also incredibly disruptive to the lives of ordinary people. At the same time, we have seen continued threats from adversary state actors, and as Director Pointnoy pointed out, Israel itself has been a victim. The government of Iran conducted a reckless and irresponsible cyber attack against Albania. Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine last year has been accompanied by cyber attacks, some of which have spilled over to other countries. And just last month, international cybersecurity authorities issued a joint advisory about a People's Republic of China state-sponsored actor targeting critical infrastructure. There is a lot we could talk about by looking at all these threats. They are real, legitimate concerns, but we cannot define our digital age solely by the threats we face. Securing ourselves against threats is not the only thing that matters when it comes to cyberspace. We use digital technologies to make our lives easier, safer, and more equitable. We work, learn, bank, communicate, and share on the internet. Technology can empower communities, create safe spaces, and let people see the world in new ways. In short, this digital age makes it easier for us all to fulfill our hopes and aspirations. The story of our digital age is not just one of threats or loss, but of opportunity and promise. That story is the premise of President Biden's new national cybersecurity strategy, which was released just this March. The strategy builds on the great work that came before it and is the result of countless meetings with private industry, international partners, academic institutions, and civil society. And the vision is to have a defensible, reliable internet that is aligned with our values. That defense and resilience is not limited to a specific actor. It is broadly applicable and technology agnostic, ready to adapt to, for instance, advances in generative AI. I said it. The strategy itself calls for two fundamental shifts. The first is that we must rebalance responsibility for cybersecurity risk. And too often, in both government and in the private sector, we devolve responsibility for cybersecurity downwards. We ask small businesses, we ask schools and hospitals to bear much of the burden of defending us all, even when we want them focused on the delivery of essential services. We need a system where the most capable actors shoulder a greater share of the burden. The United States government, of course, is one of the most capable actors around, and we need to step up. We must do a better job by leading by example, something President Biden committed us to when he signed an executive order on protecting federal government networks 4 months into his administration. We must do a better job of sharing relevant and timely information with the private sector and of using our unique powers to go after threat actors and dismantle their infrastructure. But technology firms and other cybersecurity enablers owe more as well. Fundamentally, we must re-architect our digital ecosystem so that proper responsibility for its security and resilience is more deeply woven into its technical and policy foundations. The biggest, most capable, and best positioned actors should be ensuring security is built into our ecosystem, and that means security by design. We need to flip the incentives so that businesses are rushing to be secure to market rather than just first to market. And it means security by default. We need higher expectations that technology will help us make secure choices rather than relying on individuals to be constantly vigilant against clicking on the wrong link. It can be tempting to focus on short-term fixes, and whether we're government policymakers, industry leaders, or just average people trying to make smart decisions online, we all face very real near-term risks, legal requirements, and commercial incentives. But it's not enough to handle the short term well. If tomorrow we wake up having perfected our current means of cyber defense, we would at best be losing more slowly. So, the second shift in the national cybersecurity strategy is to focus on long-term solutions. Rebalancing the responsibility for cybersecurity is necessary, but it is not sufficient. There will still be residual risk, and what do we have to do with that residual risk? Well, managing that risk means making tomorrow more inherently defensible and resilient. We need to change the underlying rules of the game to give ourselves the advantage. I want cybersecurity to be an unfair fight. So to do that, we need to make it so that when public and private sector entities face trade-offs between easy but temporary fixes and harder solutions that will stand the test of time, they have the incentives they need to consistently choose the latter. And while we hope to be building on a more secure foundation as we rebalance responsibility, we need to make sure that when a cyber incident does occur, we are not paralyzed by it. Of course, it's easy to describe these two shifts. It's much harder to actually put them into practice. My team, alongside other agencies within the United States government, is working now on an implementation plan to help actualize these shifts. But that work will be iterative, and I look forward to speaking with many of you about how these concepts can be implemented, both in the United States and internationally. These two shifts are in service of the President's affirmative vision for cyberspace, a vision that puts cybersecurity in a broader context, from political economy to social change to technological innovation. And because this is another key recognition, technology does not represent a value system. It is not inherently democracy affirming or privacy enhancing. Rather, it carries the values of its creators and operators. We must ensure the internet remains open, free, global, interoperable, reliable, and secure. That it is anchored in universal values that respect human rights and fundamental freedoms. Digital connectivity should be a tool that uplifts and empowers people everywhere, not one used for repression or coercion. I believe we can use these tools for positive impact. In fact, I believe we have a duty to do so. We must ensure technologies work in service of and not against our people. We must actively define and assert our values and the way we build our digital world. This positive vision still addresses the threats we face. It can make the fundamental shifts I described. We will have made our digital ecosystem more defensible and resilient. And to pursue our goals of an open, free, global, interoperable, reliable, and secure internet, we must address systemic challenges through building coalitions. We should not only continue to do so through multilateral agreements and arrangements, but we must lean into multi-stakeholder frameworks, one that includes governments, academia, civil society, and the private sector. We've done this before. With Christchurch call to action to eliminate terrorist and violent extremism content online, we can do it again. So in conclusion, when we think about cybersecurity strategies for a digital age, I encourage us all to think about those values. How does strategy empower people? How does strategy advance our values? A cybersecurity strategy for this digital age should be rooted in a positive vision, one that enables essential services for the underserved and groundbreaking vaccines, for example. But that won't happen unless we proactively decide to make it so. As a global community, we ought to define and pursue an affirmative vision for the future. It's our shared digital ecosystem. This is a vision that recognizes that cybersecurity's true purpose, its true purpose, is to enable all of the other things we expect the internet to do. Thank you very much.